I'm sure every one of you can come up and paint a straight blue line. It's pretty easy. You don't have to think much. After a while, our brain goes on autopilot. But then, if I change it up, and you were up here instead of me, you might think, what am I going to do next? It's not a very comfortable thing to change things up because now do I go back to the straight line? Do I even know what I'm doing? Let's just go back to what's comfortable. See, we're often afraid of the uncertainty in life. We don't want to move to a new state, to a new country, because we'd have to leave our family and friends behind. It's not an easy thing to do. A lot of you guys are going to have to do this soon. Once you graduate, you're going to have to make a choice just like I did. This takes me back to the day that I had to do one of the hardest things in my life. It takes me back to May of 2013. When I had to leave my family and friends behind. My parents stood outside of my bedroom door and they told me, hey, you can always stay here and pursue art and be an art teacher or a graphic designer. It's not that they didn't believe that I can make it in a big city, but it was a comfortable and easy choice. The next day, I left. I was determined to persevere through the uncomfortable to reach my goal as an artist. I started with an unpaid internship. I was eating a lot of peanut butter jelly sandwiches, and I was sleeping on the floor. Not on the actual floor, but on a mattress on the floor. I canvassed for Greenpeace. I also sold perfumes on the weekends, and I managed a boutique. Growing up, my dad always told me to save. Save your money, because one day you're going to have an idea, or you're going to want to do something, and you're going to need money for this. So save your money and work really hard. So I did. I've worked hard ever since I was 16 years old. I had a whole bunch of odd jobs. And that's what got me to Los Angeles in the first place. It was those savings. But who am I kidding? Those life savings barely lasted in Los Angeles, so I had to get 3 jobs after that. I always made time to create. Art was always my constant. Even when people asked me, what do you do? And I always would say, I'm an artist, because these jobs were just a stepping stone, and I knew where I wanted to get in life. So I had been persistently sending out my portfolio. I was posting on social media all the time, and just trying to get my artwork out there, even though I had all these other jobs. Finally, one day, the phone rang. I was sitting at an Italian boutique, just sending out my artwork and putting it out online, when a representative for E-Entertainment reached out and said, we love your work. We'd love to interview you for a full-time artist position. I was so excited. It was the first time that they had a full-time artist at E-Entertainment. So I went to the interview, and I landed the job. So I became a full-time artist. I really wanted to become my own boss as soon as possible. So I would draw at E-Entertainment from 9 to 5, and then from 5 to 10, I was just using their computer because it was much better than the one that I had at home. So I just sat there and worked on my website, on my artwork. Everybody was like, man, you have a long shift. So that lasted for 8 months, that part of my life. And E let me go to put money into fashion after 8 months. So I stayed that last day till 3 o'clock in the morning. I really had to milk it. I made sure my website looked really good. And then I packed up and left. I had just left E. I recently turned 25, so the clock was ticking, my internal clock was ticking of my goal of becoming a full-time artist. And then I turned 25, and then on March 26th, an app was created that changed my life. I was soon to become my own boss and my own brand. The name of the app is Periscope, Twitter's live streaming app. I painted live and talked about life on it, and before I knew it, I became the most followed woman on the entire app. It was like a week or two. It was very overwhelming. My artwork started selling like never before. I was featured in magazines, on TV, in places I've never even traveled before, Australia, Japan. It was really wild. There's my first spread. Michael Strahan, we're best friends now. And I was interviewed for BuzzFeed, which ironically, I submitted my artwork to BuzzFeed and they declined me, and then they reached out to me to do a documentary, so that was pretty awesome. So after that, it resulted in getting signed to UTA, which is one of the world's best talent agencies. So everything was really amazing, to say the least, but it was extremely overwhelming. I was living by myself. I had no help, no family, didn't really have friends. So I had to package all this art by myself, answer all of these emails. So I stopped eating because I was working so much, and I started getting a little bit sick and losing weight. So my parents were really worried about me. So they sent in my grandma. She's so cute. That's the magazine I was in. So she came, that food was probably for me that she has in her hand. So she came to Los Angeles for 3 months, and she helped me cook and package art, and she was just part of the journey. We drove up to San Diego when I had to speak. So we had so much fun together. I started to speak in conferences and in panels. And people would always ask me, how did you do it? How did you trend? Tell us your secrets. People ask me that all the time. I actually got asked that backstage. And I always tell them, I wish I can tell you that there was just a link that you click on, you pay X amount of money, and you go viral. But that's not really how it works, and don't do that. It's not gonna work. There are 5 key principles that helped me with my success, and I really believe that it will help anybody with theirs. 1, invest in your mind. Make sure you invest in your mind and your craft. Don't cheap out on cheap paint. Don't cheap out on a cheaper whatever it is. You don't need that Louis Vuitton bag. You can put it towards something that's really important. Resilience. Bounce back after rejections. You're going to hear no multiple times. You're going to hear that you're not good enough, but just keep going. Online presence. Post your work online. Everybody's head is either we're in this world or we're in the online world. So it's such a powerful tool. And if you have the luxury of having a phone, which most of us here do, then use it. Consistency. Create every single day. That's very important. You can't just post some of the time. You want to just be consistent with it. And authenticity. Create from personal experience. Tell your story through your work. I've been quite literally telling my story through my artwork. I've been drawing for the past 200 days. And my goal is to draw 400 drawings by the end of 2018 with a 2-day break before my wrist falls off. I got a guard coming in this weekend to help me with that. So I've been posting a drawing a day on Instagram to my community of over 325,000 people from all over the world. I'm enthralled by the way that people behave behind closed doors. These intimate moments that we never get to see. But if you bring a camera into the picture, then the person's going to act differently. So only you can relate to these moments, but you never see this in a photograph, so I draw them. You can all relate to that laundry piling up. That actually has a great story behind it, if you want to go in on the conversation. One of the best parts of this whole challenge is to see how similar we are, no matter what language or country we live in. An interesting thing that I learned last week through my drawings that most people around the world, they wish upon a fallen eyelash, but those people from the Netherlands don't. That was pretty interesting. You just read the comments and you learn a lot. So, my art has been published all over the world. First, it was just me because of Periscope, and I didn't really like that much because I was like, okay, cool, yeah, I'm the top followed woman, but this is my artwork. So now you can't see my photo anywhere on my Instagram, and it's just my art. And it's also been published all over the world, which was crazy. I need to go to these places. So I've been a full-time artist for 4 years now. When I speak about this, I speak it loud and proudly, because when I was young, I've never had an artist, a female artist with immigrant parents, that was a full-time artist to look up to. I needed somebody that I can see and say, if she can do it, I can too. So, step out of your comfort zone. If you're really brave, you can mix some colors and make it your own. I hope it comes out better than this for you guys. Thank you so much.